Hey everyone, welcome to D20 Woodworking, and today we are going through how I store everything for Lord of the Rings, the Living Card Game. Now, if you saw my previous video for Marvel Champions, I'll put the link up there in the corner. There's gonna be a lot of similarities between the two, right? They're not quite exactly the same, but there's a lot of similarities. But I wanted to go through this and exactly how I store this game, because right now it's a lot. So I guess first, the most important thing is what the actual boxes are. Just like Marvel Champions, they are all these shoe boxes, BCW shoe boxes. Um, and I, as of right now, recording this, I currently have 8 of these boxes. So 8 of these boxes store all the player cards, all the encounter cards, mostly everything that's out for a long extended party, all the nightmare cards, right? And I have some spots filled in with just card boxes, right? Boxes like this for sleeves, just to keep everything kind of tight so the cards aren't all flopping over. But yeah, so that holds everything as of right now. I do have the revised core, and I haven't put that in here yet, so I still have to fit that in here and some other things. But we should be able to fit it all in these boxes for now, and I'll get into that in a second. But you might have seen the different dividers in the card. I use, again, Tesseract Games dividers. I really like their dividers. They're double-sided. You're supposed to like flip them over to show like that you defeated it, so you can like help keep track, I guess. It's a pretty cool little system. Like it's fun. But I really like their dividers. I think they're really good, and I think for a game like this, you kind of need them to keep everything organized, even for like if you went into, like, let's say like spirit allies, right? So they break it down from like it's 0 cost and 1 cost to 2 cost to 3 cost to 4 plus cost, right? Like stuff like this helps you deck build a lot faster, in my opinion. And anything that will help me get the game on the table more frequently and more often, absolutely. I'll invest in that, because then the investment of the game pays off better, in my opinion. So as of right now, mostly all the encounter cards, all the player cards that I'm not currently using, I think that's everything, is sleeved with sleeve kings. All right, so they're just regular, normal, clear sleeves for sleeve kings. Now, I'm in a transition process with this. So whenever I deck build, I switch the sleeves out into the matte sleeves by Dragon Shield, and I really like those sleeves. I think they're really good. But it is kind of a pain to like have to keep swapping in and out sleeves each time I deck build. But usually when I build a deck, right, it's going through the entire scenario, so it's not as bad. I think eventually I want to upgrade all the player cards, but I haven't convinced myself yet. But what I have convinced myself is that I want to sleeve all the encounter cards in Dragon Shield, every single one. And they need to be, in my opinion, need to be in a matte finish. So I've been using matte red for my encounter cards. Now, the reason being, because I've had people ask this, why do you do it? The reason being is because when you start playing with nightmare packs, the back is slightly different on a nightmare card versus a non-nightmare card. It's noticeable enough that when I'm shuffling the cards, like I can tell the next card's gonna be a nightmare card, and that bothers me. I know some people that wouldn't bother them. Some people don't mind putting like another card on top and just pulling from the second one down. I don't like doing any of that, so I have been re-sleeving everything in the matte red finish from Dragon Shield. Again, I don't want to have to like re-sleeve basically encounter cards every single time I play a round of Lord of the Rings. If I finish the scenario, especially an easier scenario, it takes a lot of time to sleeve that entire scenario, then unsleeve it, then re-sleeve the next scenario. Like that's a lot of, in my opinion, wasted time. So for me, I think I'm going to do all the encounter cards in the matte red, so this way it's all consistent, and I can just pick up and play, right? I can just go through them and play through the game, because that's one of the biggest downtimes nowadays for Lord of the Rings, is just re-sleeving a player deck, right? And again, I don't mind doing player decks because it will last 9-ish rounds, right? Versus some of these encounter scenarios, some of these adventure packs, I can beat it in 30 to 45 minutes, and I just spent 20 to 30 minutes sleeving everything for it and then unsleeving all as well. So anyway, that's the rough plan. And the problem is, when I get to that point, I think when I re-sleeve all the encounter cards, it's gonna end up taking about 9 boxes, which is gonna be quite a lot, but Sailor B is what it is. So anyway, the player mat I use is the Fantasy Flight one. Again, I store it in its tube. I think I want to get a different playmat because it feels kind of small. Like I want a wider one. I just haven't found a good one that I really like yet, but eventually I think we'll upgrade that. Then as far as tokens that we use, everything I use is stored in this box because there's only so many tokens out right now, and hopefully they'll come out with more. But I use everything from buy the same token, and they're little like mahogany tokens. There's resource tokens, right? One on one side, two on the other. Damage tokens, right? 1 and 2 on the other side. And then like questing tokens, generic tokens, 1 and 2 on each side. It's a first player marker, which is kind of cool. And then I use the same little gray, whatever they are, from Fantasy Flight tokens to show that I have exhausted a hero or an ally or anything else that needs to show exhaustion. So I use that as well for this. There's really only 2 more things to cover. One is all the adventure packs paperwork. Now, when you open up an adventure pack, right, you'll open up the container, and inside in the back will just be like the story, right, and kind of setup and stuff. And that's essentially what I have in here, is just a binder full of all these paperwork, all the way from the very beginning to the very end. There are some that are 2 pages, right? There are some of them that are 2 pages, and you have to cut them in half, right? And sleeve one on one side, one on the other side. It was pretty hard to do that at first, but then you get kind of used to it and you realize it's just more efficient and whatever. But it's a nice way to store it. You know, now that they're sleeved nice, I don't have to worry about it. I just kind of flip through the book. I can read the story. It's a good system, and everything fits in one of these. What is this? A 1-inch binder. It says it holds 220 sheets. These are just generic sleeve pages where the paper goes down the top. And it holds everything for Lord of the Rings. So unless they start coming out with more adventure packs, which they probably won't, I should be good. I should be good with just this one binder. So that's pretty exciting. The last thing I have is this Lord of the Rings, the card game box, right? This is the original one, not the revised core one. And this kind of holds a lot of my miscellaneous stuff. One of the top things you'll see on it is my turn reference sheet. I just printed this off of, I think, BGG, but I'm not sure. It's the same thing on both sides, so it doesn't matter which way I pull it out. It just shows turn order and where player actions go in. So if you ever watch one of my live streams, you'll see it off to the side, because it's always good to remind yourself where player actions are. All my resource dials are in here, or threat dials, and I also use them to like do different counts and stuff. So I have 3 of them in 3 different colors, just to keep track of them. And then you have like, you know, your manual, your case for Hunt for the Dreadnought, because there's a big card in here, so I want to store it nicely. And then basically all my other manuals for all like the other boxes and the little expansions, and this is for the custom scenario kit, right? Like there's all these different paperwork basically that's just kind of thrown in there, so it kind of keeps them all together and allows me to quickly find them, I guess. But yeah, it's more or less haphazard, really, this box system. I want to improve it someday. Like I said, I really haven't opened up the revised core yet and played through it, and I think I might switch the revised core to store more things, and maybe like whatever my current player card deck is or something like that, right? I want to get that box involved because I like it more. It's bigger and it's meatier and can hold more stuff. And this one's kind of breaking down and wearing down. So anyway, that's really it. Lord of the Rings is one of the easier things to store, but it does cost a lot because there's just so much content for the game. But yeah, that's how I store everything. It's a pretty good system, I think. I do eventually want to get bigger boxes, right? Having not 8, possibly 9 of these boxes, I think is a bit much. I would like to just shrink it down to like 3 bigger boxes, but it's going to get kind of pricey, but we'll see. Maybe one day. But yeah, let me know how you store your Lord of the Rings. Is it kind of a system like this? Is it something different? Is there things out there I don't know about that you use? I think that'd be pretty cool. Make sure also you stick around, because next week we're going to do Arkham Horror. Again, there will be some similarities there, but there's a few differences too. So I think that'd be pretty cool, especially with some of the accessories in Arkham Horror. It's fun to kind of get into that stuff. And if you made this far in the video, please scroll down, hit subscribe, hit like, leave a comment. We're trying to grow the channel. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. We're getting there, and you know, if you would do that for me and hit subscribe, it would really help out. I really appreciate it. All right, thanks all.